Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of F1 2017 Career Mode, and today we are at Malaysia. After the issues in Singapore, I was looking to swap out a few engine bits. As you can see, it is an entire mess. Basically, the game is just pick the one with the least percentage of wear on it and hope it doesn't fail. That's my strategy.
Put your feet up as we head into qualifying here in Kuala Lumpur. Over the next few minutes, we'll find out who's got pace in the car and who hasn't. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
The banter between them two is unreal. So welcome back to Malaysia, guys. I'm just going to skip ahead in the qualifying session towards the end. I don't want to do too much running on this engine. Thank you, Jeff. And then I will run through the setup that we're going to use in qualifying. It's not too extreme. 4 wings, 75 throttle, usual camber stuff, suspension, just enough to get the turn in right. It's more in the balance towards the end, and then that's about it. So let's hit the track and see what happens. Let's jump straight out into Q1 then, coming across the pit straight, across the start finish line for the first lap. Malaysia, not really my strongest track. I think I've mentioned that before in the Classic series. And we're severely hampered with worn engine parts and stuff this race, so we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we'll get a wet race. This Renault seems to come alive in wet weather, so if that happens then that'll be fantastic. If it doesn't, yeah, I'm not hoping for good things. I think I did 2 laps and then I think I started a third but didn't finish the third in Q1. So I'm just showing you little bits and bobs at Q1. Nothing too major. Straight line speed is what's going to do it for us here, and I don't think we're going to have enough to get into Q3, but as long as we can get into Q2 and maybe beat our teammate, that should be okay. And yeah, we're just aiming for the teams basically. So that's good news. We may have, you can see there, a wet qualifying and potentially a wet race as well. So there's the top 13 for Q1. And let's jump ahead to Q2. So straight into Q2, we're going to do the same thing. We know we're getting some rain, so we're going to jump ahead in the session. One thing you're going to be careful about in this case is that the AI cars, thanks Jeff, is that the AI cars don't go out on dry tyres. There's a bit of a bug where they can maintain, dry tyre speeds just as it starts to rain. As you can see there, Vettel is showing that he's been out on the super softs. I don't think he actually did. I think this was in fact full intermediate running by all people. But you can see the intermediate tyres are exactly what's needed, so we're definitely on the right tyre at the right time.
That last lap puts you into P8.
Jeff, thank you very much. So I thought to myself, you know what, let's push for a second lap, why not? And you can see we're already half a second up as we come through the center S's, and then we just get up on the curb just enough, back end steps out in the wet weather, not enough traction, we go sliding across the grass and straight into the barrier. And that was qualifying over. So let's have another look at the replay of that. So we come through the center S's, everything's going fine. It actually looks worse from this angle, so you can see we get right up on the rumble strip, touch the grass just as we come around the corner, still with the steering lock on, and it's just straight into the barrier. There's really nothing you can do in that case. Sounds like qualifying over, but we did manage to finish P10, so that's where we'll start for the race tomorrow, and I think we'll have free choice of tyres as well, so yeah, there you go guys.
And alongside me today to talk you through all that is Anthony Davidson. And welcome again. It's good to be back in Kuala Lumpur, isn't it? A lovely country, Malaysia, lovely circuit, and a race that tends to be quite hard to predict.
Yeah, it does indeed. There are a lot of high-energy corners that make the rear tyres suffer around here. Coupled with the excessive heat, that makes it difficult to keep your tyres in the right operating window. And of course, in previous years, we've come here very early in the season, which throws a potential reliability variable in there as well.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Massa, Kvyat, and a Renault, Hülkenberg, and Roman Grosjean, Magnussen, Alonso, Carlos Sainz, and Ericsson, Verstappen, Wehrlein, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Lance Stroll, Ocon, and Sergio Perez rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, you've qualified higher than we expected, so let's try to build on this position throughout the race.
A young Spaniard named Fernando Alonso sat at the front of the grid here over a decade ago now. The first flash of greatness in a race that also gave us the maiden win for Kimi Raikkonen. The Malaysian Grand Prix is an event for gifted racers to climb to the top, and for those on the sidelines to find new talents.
Bit of a different intro there from Crofty, and we're 4 lights, 5 lights. And away we go for the Malaysian Grand Prix in Season 1. We're starting P8 alongside Danny Kvyat, diving up the inside. Kevin up to take our teammate's nose off as we come down towards the first corner, jump into the replay cam, and we dive down the inside of Danny Kvyat. We're going to get Massa as well. We are. Keep it clean down the inside of Felipe Massa, and I believe that's up into P6. Some cleanly through and chasing down Danny Ricciardo and Raikkonen. That is indeed P6, and Ricciardo and Raikkonen side by side alongside each other ahead of us. We've got plenty of onboard fuel to use, so we can perhaps have a look down on the inside of Raikkonen, but that's not going to happen. Ricciardo and Raikkonen still side by side as they go down towards the centre S's.
Alright, well done off the line, we're in a good position.
Thank you, Jeff, for that, and yeah, took in nicely. Maybe have a look at these Red Bulls later on in the race, but it's key that we get ahead of Massa and our teammate. Jumping ahead onto lap 2, and we're setting purples, of course, because the first lap is always really slow. Basically, we weren't able to stick to the back of Ricciardo on the first lap, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to stick to the back of him through DRS here to get DRS on lap 3 either. Coming down towards the end of lap 2 now, just to show some nice replay. Cameras are sweeping through as the sun sets here in Sepang. Not really challenged from Massa behind us, not really able to challenge Ricciardo up front at the meantime, but we are on the harder of the 2 tyres, so it is important that we don't let these cars ahead of us pull away too much. Back end steps out just a little bit there.
The virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive delta.
That's the VSC out for Valtteri Bottas, so let's see what we can do
Slow
here.
your pace immediately. VSC ending, we're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
So jumping ahead to where the VSC is ending.
Track is clear. Green flag.
We are go again, green flag, thank you Jeff. Basically we're just going to jump through the pit stop region, so everyone's starting to make their pit stops. I think Nico comes in this lap, if not the next lap.
Engine is looking a little warm. Power output will be less than optimal.
I was just about to mention that the engine itself I think is looking very
Coming to the pits. Nico is in the pits now.
is looking very faded, thank you Jeff.
The pit window has opened. Pit window now open for you.
There's probably no point in me even talking. I mean, Jeff can just do it all, right? So, yeah, Nico comes into the pits, and I think Verstappen was on a similar pit strategy to us, but looking much faster on his old super softs behind us. You can see there, we're struggling a bit with our old softs. We're going to come in and put on some super softs now, I think. Heading towards the pit lane now. Verstappen is closing up on us. But a bit of a scrappy lap, really, not the ideal in-lap that we wanted. You can see there we're running a bit wide under braking. Just losing that top surface of the tyre is just enough for it to send you, off the track in braking zones, or make you have to think about braking. So we're slowing it down for the pit lane now. Coming into the pit stop phase, it's going to be a direct race between the customer Red Bull team and the Renault manufacturer team. In the pit lane is Sebastian Vettel. It's his fastest lap on his new soft tyres.
Racing on the exit. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Pit stop by the Renault boys there brings us out right behind Danny Kvyat. Lucky that he didn't actually come across and swipe us there. That was very close to my liking. Verstappen's lost out a bit during the pit phase. I don't know whether it was to do with traffic in the pit lane or whether it was just a slow pit stop by the Red Bull guys, which is a bit unlike them. But we're going to have a look down Danny Kvyat going into the end of sector 1. Nothing coming. Following through the centre S's, right in the dirty air, have to slam on the brakes as he slows down. Just the downforce difference between that Toro Rosso and the Renault is unreal. Have a look into the hairpin. Again, he closes the door on us a bit soon. You can see Verstappen now looming in our wing mirrors. Following him through down into the last sector, and we're going to have a look before the DRS straight. Probably not. We're probably just going to line him up straight for the DRS. But a good run out of this corner down the back straight. DRS pops open, you can see, and we're going to have a nice lunge down into the hairpin. Get alongside him. The move may even be done before we get to the hairpin. Yep, it is. Just take the apex nicely, block him off from a comeback. We get the DRS on the pit straight again. So this is where it all started to go wrong. So we managed to catch Massa up. You can see Verstappen is still behind us. I think this is a couple of laps later now, and we jump down into the first corner, and Massa just slams on the brakes, and we just chip that little end plate off the front wing, and that was enough to throw off our downforce really.
We're seeing minor damage to the front wing. Be easy on the car till we get it repaired. We don't want to risk making this worse.
Yeah, so Jeff's spot on there. There was a severe lack of downforce, you can see here, just into the fast corners. We really didn't have enough downforce to keep up with Massa. Verstappen manages to get the undercut on us into that corner, but I think we're going to get him down on the brakes going into the hairpin. We do indeed, and yeah, so downforce was a bit of a fight. So we actually lost touch with Massa quite severely.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
And Verstappen was all over us for the rest of the Grand Prix. So I just thought, well, there's no point trying to push the car and do damage to the engine. So I may as well just take it easy, try and hold off Verstappen, and hope for the best, really. Coming through the final sector then on the last lap, it's been a bit of a dogfight between Verstappen and myself, but I think we're going to hold on and finish in P7. It is indeed P7 in the Malaysian Grand Prix, and that was a tough drive.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
Difficult call, Crofty, but I'd like to say Sergio Perez. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that here today.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend.